If you've been looking to make a DIY sandbag for your garage gym at home, then you are in the right place. In the next few minutes in this video, I'm going to show you how to make one of the easiest, simplest at-home projects that you can possibly do. And even better, it's going to cost you about a third of the price as anything that you're going to go find online. So stick around. Okay, so here are my components for my DIY sandbag. When you're putting together your sandbag, you've got basically four major components. So you've got an outer bag, which for me, admittedly, I'm cheating a little bit because I've got a ton of Adidas and Under Armour bags in the house, and so I just grabbed one of those, and I'm going to use that for my sandbag. If you have an extra duffel bag laying around, you can use that. If you don't, you can go online or you can go to Walmart and get a heavy canvas laundry bag. Canvas is probably the best material to use just because it's going to be heavy duty and it's going to hold up to a lot of wear and tear. And the next piece of it is going to be the inner bags. And so at the bottom of the video right there, I've got two different options for inner bags. And the contractor bags on the left, those went for $14 and some change for a box of 24 Lowe's. Whereas the slider bags on the right hand side, what I've got shown right there is a box of 10, but you can actually pick up a box of 25 of those for like $5. So big price discrepancy between the two. So if the freezer bags end up working out really well, you can save yourself about $10 there by going with the freezer bags. And so just a note real quick on why inner bags and the outer bag. Like, why not just throw all the sand in the bag and, you know what I mean, and just let it ride. Two reasons really. One is it's an extra layer of protection. So if one of the bags breaks, you get a hole in something, you've got another layer of protection before you end up, with a mess all over, your gym floor. So if there ends up being a little bit of a hole in the outer bag, hopefully you can catch it before it becomes an issue. And if there's a hole in one of the inner bags, well, you've got a little bit of sand that's just going to end up in the outer bag. It's going to be easy to clean up as opposed to, sand or pea gravel all over the place. And the second reason really, which is for me is even more convenient than that, is the fact that by making inner bags, you can make your inner bags at different pound increments. So I'm going to be making some 10-pound bags, some 15-pound bags, and some 20-pound bags. And then basically, then you can treat them like weights on a bar, right? If I want to go 60-pound bag for this workout, I've got 3 20-pound bags. Boom, I throw them in, I'm good to go. If I want to switch to 80 or drop it down lower, whatever the case may be, I've got that freedom now to be able to change the weights for different things that I want to do or different workouts that I want to do. If you kind of just got it all thrown in there, whatever it ends up being is whatever it ends up being. That's what you're kind of stuck with. So, speaking of the sand, speaking of the pea gravel, so that is the material that we're going to actually use for the weight itself. So again, just picked up two different options to kind of see the differences between the two, see if one works better than the other. A couple things to keep in mind with the material that you're going to use. One, you want something in the case of sand, and even with pea gravel, something that's smooth, it's not going to have jagged edges. You don't have to worry about it eventually cutting and tearing through the bags that it's sitting in. Plus, if you've got landscaping rocks that are kind of jagged a little bit or kind of rough on the edges, and you throw that thing up on your shoulder, you're gonna notice that real fast. So you want something smooth, something rounded. It's going to be easy on your shoulders. It's going to be easy on your hands. It's going to be easy on the bags that's holding them. Two, get something cheap. Both of those, the pea gravel bag and the play sand bag, both cost me about $4. I think the play sand bag was like $4.10 and the pea gravel was $3.96. So super cheap. One of the materials that I see kind of suggested out there to potentially use for a sandbag like this is crumb rubber. So crumb rubber is basically that ground up rubber that you see on turf fields. And two reasons why I wouldn't go with the crumb rubber. One, if I decide at some point that I don't want this sandbag and I'm not wanting to use this sandbag anymore, well, then I can take the sand or take the pea gravel, either one. I can throw it out in my landscaping out in the yard, and it's done. It's disposed of. With crumb rubber, not quite the case. So once you're done using it, how are you going to dispose of all this ground up rubber? Two, it's not nearly as dense. So for the same, so both of those bags right there are a half a cubic foot. So even though one of them may look a little bit bigger than the other, they're sold by space, by volume. And so they're both about a half cubic foot. For what it's worth, I weighed both of them. The sandbag on the right weighed in at 46 pounds, and the pea gravel bag on the left weighed in at just under 52 pounds. So about the same. You get a little bit more weight with the pea gravel, but considering both bags, like I said, cost about $4. Not really a whole lot of a difference one way or the other as far as that goes. And then with crumb rubber, it's not as dense. So for the same amount of space, you're only going to get half of the amount of weight. So if you are, wanting to do something really heavy, you're talking about working with an 80 or 100 or over 100 pound weighted sandbag. That's going to be a whole lot of crumb rubber, and you're going to end up with something really big and really bulky, super awkward to use. If you want something super awkward to use, go for it, but not really what I was wanting to get out of it. And the last piece of it, which is the hallmark of any great DIY project, is a roll of duct tape, right? And so we're going to use the duct tape to just help seal everything up. We're going to use it to seal up the bags. Give me a nice clean riding surface so I can label all the bags, the different weights that I'm going to use for the inner bags. And then there you go. So there's your 4 components. Total cost for the project, obviously again I'm cheating with the bag, that's free. Any DIY project, the best materials that you can use is stuff that's already in your house, and it's not going to cost you a dime. But even if you're going to go out and buy your own bag, like I said, $10-15, and you should be good to go. The pea gravel and the sand, the bag of sand, both about $4 a piece, so that's $8 total for the materials. The roll of duct tape I think was $7, and I'll have plenty left over after this is all done. Contractor bags, $14, and I think some change, and then I think $5 for the freezer bag. So potentially, if you have a bag that's already around your house that you can use, also a good idea, go to a thrift store. Go to a thrift store and see if you can find, a duffel bag, and if they have, just check it, check the seams, check the stitching, check for any worn out kind of areas, because if there's a weakness in the bag, trust me, 80 or 100 pounds of pea gravel or sand is going to exploit that really, really fast. But so total all said and done, for me, it's going to end up costing me, about under $30. Even using the contractor bags and the freezer bags. So let's get into exactly how we're going to put this thing together. All right, here we go. So for the first bag, I'm using one of the contractor bags. It's bigger, and while the sandbag is heavy, it's going to be a lot easier to pour into as opposed to the freezer bag. And I'm kind of just going to throw some sand in, see where I'm at, and then I'm going to weigh it up. And like I said, I'm trying to get a bag somewhere around maybe 15-20 pounds for the first one. So just kind of eyeball it and guess it, and then we'll weigh it up and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so bag number 1, just got it to just over 15 pounds. So here's what we're going to try to attempt to do. We're going to fold this bag in half. I've got all my sand down here at the bottom. Okay, and then basically I'm just going to fold it and roll it onto itself. Roll it again. Roll it again. Roll it again. And now, so now in comes the duct tape. I'm just going to seal this across the top. There we go. And then I'm going to put a couple more strips Going around. Now that might not be super pretty, that's okay. No one's really ever gonna see it anyway. Not that I would care if anyone thought my DIY inner sandbag didn't look great. But it's gonna go in the outer bag, and the only one's gonna see is probably you. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna label it real quick, right here in the middle. All right, bag number 1 is done. Trying to be a little bit smarter with the freezer bags. They're being smaller. Trying not to make a huge mess here. So I went and got just a measuring cup. We're just gonna pour it in little by little, fill it up, and we'll see how much this thing weighs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece of duct tape, and I'm gonna try to use this piece of duct tape to seal it, to seal the seal, if you will. So here's my first 10-pound sand freezer bag. And I'm gonna be honest, if this thing holds up and it doesn't rip and it doesn't tear, I like the freezer bag way better so far than a construction bag. A lot less material. Once it gets poured in, not so bulky with all, if you look at the difference, I mean, granted that's a 15-pound bag, but just, I mean, there's all the excess material. This is just more compact. Would not, however, recommend trying to go through the airport with your 10-pound bag of sand. So no on-the-road workouts with your sandbag. My second freezer bag, this is all the sand that I had left. This is going to end up being about a 5-pounder. And so since it doesn't take up the whole bag, I tried to pull all the air out of it as much as possible. And then I'm gonna fold it over, and then I'm gonna seal it up just like I did the last one. So here you go. Here's all my inner sandbags. I'm gonna try to hold off on making an inner Sandman joke. I feel like there's one there, but I'll move right past that. So I've got two 20-pound bags. These both have the pea gravel in them. I've got two 15-pound bags that are both filled with sand. And then I've got a 10-pound pea gravel, a 10-pound sandbag, and then an extra 5-pound sandbag. So like I was saying earlier, now I can intermatch these however I want, depending on how much weight I can have. I can change them in, change them out, and get the exact weight that I need. And that's it. Our heavy sandbag is complete. Probably about 30 minutes from start to finish, just filling all the bags up once you get all the materials. If you like this video and it helped you out a little bit, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. And now if you guys will excuse me, I've got some heavy sandbag carriers to get in.